What's good, football fans? I wanted to come on today and talk a little bit about these upcoming matchups this weekend. The first one up is the Bengals versus the Titans, and I'm going to let you people know I am completely impressed with Tennessee this year. They went through 91 different players on their roster this season, which was a record, by the way, in a non-strike year. I mean, they lost everything from their best running back who led the league in rushing last season all the way down to their two top receivers that went down at the same time. And they still somehow managed to be the number one seed and get that bye. Now, I can sit here and talk about a lot of things, but that's impressive. And at the same time, I see the Cincinnati Bengals as one of the up-and-coming teams in the entire league. Joe Burrow is really ascending into an elite quarterback right now, right in front of our eyes. And he's got the best receivers in all of football, hands down, in my opinion. Now, I'm a huge T. Higgins fan, but Jamar Chase and C.J. Uzomah are top-level targets as well. The Titans are going to have a long day with the combination of those three guys and Joe Mixon coming out of the backfield if Cincy is, successful early on. I really think that this one will come down to if Tennessee's defense can shut Burrow down. Sometimes the best form of defense is in running the ball and good clock management to keep the other team off the field. And in Tennessee's situation, those big guys up front make it just about impossible for anybody, to get going and stay going for 60 minutes. I'm really interested to see if Derrick Henry will get activated for this game. I know that they've put him under a couple little stress tests during practice. He's taken, getting hits and all. But, if he does, I'm wondering just how much can he contribute to the team this weekend. That man had almost 1,000 yards rushing and 10 TDs in 8 games earlier this year, okay? Now, of course, if Henry can't go, they still have Dante Foreman, to carry the load if need be. But I'm taking the Tennessee Titans here. But I'm going to stop myself and say that if the Bengals can jump out to an early lead, it could quite easily go the other way if they can force the Titans away from their game plan and, make them one-dimensional. Now, the next game I'm going to talk about is the contest between the San Francisco 49ers and the Green Bay Packers. Now, first of all, I have to say that at the beginning of the year, I picked the Green Bay Packers to make it to the Super Bowl. With the way that Aaron Rodgers has been playing the last couple years, it's to me, he's had his best football in the last 12 to 18 months. And, it's pretty obvious that he's still one of the best to ever do it. But these two teams played earlier this year, and the Packers were able to get a last-minute game-winning field goal drive in San Francisco where Aaron Rodgers that marched right on down the field and got those points to go ahead, and they snuck out of there with a win. Now, the Niners were without Elijah Mitchell in that game, and it showed as the team was held to just 67 yards rushing. And looking at what we're dealing with here, the Niners are dealing with some injuries going into this one as well. Nick Bosa has a concussion. Last I heard, he was still in protocol, but that obviously can change. I also know that Fred Warner is dealing with an ankle sprain, and Jimmy Garoppolo has issues with his shoulder and his thumb, I believe. In the first meeting these two teams had, Devontae Adams went completely off with 12 catches on 18 targets for 132 yards and a touchdown. Since that game, Deebo Samuel for the 49ers has been lighting the stat sheet up. And, San Francisco has been taking it to some teams on the ground, which their coach Kyle Shanahan, that's his forte. That's what he likes to do. I think he would much rather win games running the ball than ever let the ball into the air. That's why Jimmy Garoppolo is able to thrive in that type of system when they're able to run the ball. And they've been running the ball so well and, doing so well in the last couple games that I am actually going to abandon my preseason pick and take the Niners in this one. And it's not too hard to see that Kyle Shanahan's been getting 110% out of his guys down the stretch. It's not that I don't like Green Bay. I just think that San Fran is the better team right now. Now, the next game I'm going to talk about is between the LA Rams and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And this one is going to be a slugfest. And it's a tough one to call because both of these teams played really good defense last week. I honestly would have to say I was more impressed with the way LA shut the Cardinals down, though. I mean, the Cardinals at one point this season were a juggernaut. They fell off there at the end, but, whatever. The Bucs, on the other hand, were supposed to beat Philly. The only team the Eagles beat this year with a winning record was New Orleans. And that's not me beating up on Philly. It's just to say that team was honestly just trying to build on something positive this year. They already knew they were going to have 3 first-round picks, and, they were just trying to make something positive of this season and move on to next, which, in my opinion, they did. The Bucs, on the other hand, are in win-now mode with Tom Brady putting up one of his best seasons yet, this year with over 5,000 yards passing and 43 touchdowns. I mean, it's unbelievable what this guy is able to do in his 40s. One thing to keep an eye on in this game is how well that Tampa Bay offensive line stands up. They've had some injuries down the stretch, and that Rams defensive line is absolutely no joke. Those guys bring it every down. Make no mistake about that at all. That issue by itself had me going back and forth with who I think would win this one. In the end, I went with Brady's experience over LA's defense and took the Bucs in this one. But I also think that, Matt Stafford has tons of pressure on him to produce in this game, to prove that trading the house for him was the right move. But I think this game could really go either way. It'll likely come down to which team has the better defensive game plan. With that in mind, keep an eye on Levante David. Tampa is really happy to be getting him back when they need him the most. I mean, I know that Tampa's defensive coordinator, Todd Bowles, was able to mix things up and keep that defense tough up to this point, and I expect that to continue, but they'll get even tougher with David back. And the last game I'm going to talk about, is probably the best game of the entire weekend, or at least the most anticipated, between the Buffalo Bills and the Kansas City Chiefs. And if we're calling it right down the line on this one, right down the middle, both of these teams are playing lights out at this moment. Buffalo's 7 consecutive touchdowns against a Bill Belichick coach defense in the wild card round was pretty damn impressive. I mean, that doesn't happen very often. And I think they were trying to send a message to everyone else that Buffalo has arrived and they're here to win this thing. Josh Allen had more touchdown passes than incompletions. He went 21 of 25 for 308 yards and 5 touchdowns, which is completely ridiculous. And I have to say the Chiefs are on a roll as well after Pat Mahomes went for 400 yards passing and 5 touchdown passes against Pittsburgh, which is unreal as well, But that said, these two teams played earlier this year and the Bills won 38-20. Keep in mind, that's when the Chiefs offense was kind of sputtering a little bit and they really weren't playing up to snuff yet. But Buffalo's defense was able to force a couple of crucial turnovers in that one. And I'm thinking they're going to need a couple in this one as well to really do what they want to do. But to be clear, Buffalo was my other preseason pick in the AFC to go to the Super Bowl this season, and I'm sticking with that pick as I think that Buffalo will spoil Kansas City's bid to advance to the Super Bowl for the 3rd straight year. I expect a really good game, though, and who knows, Mahomes has shown so much magic in the past that he could pull this one out his ass, too. So there you have it, my picks for the divisional round. Now do me a favor. Let me know what your picks are for this weekend down below in the comments. That's all I got for today. Y'all take it easy. Peace.